好的，朋友们，这是莫雷啊。在开始本期视频之前，先给大家留一个问题，就是之前在我这一个流放2的所有的一切的这个汇总视频里边啊，如果你没有去看的话，请先去看一下，因为我去解答所有相关这个抢先体验里边你的所有的这种常见的问题，以及你能在抢先体验中玩到所有的内容。这视频非常长，做了我差不多4-5天的这个量，然后它到了40多分钟，我希望能够把一切都解释完了。但是啊，有一个问题大家仍然在提，并且在所有的流放2相关的视频里边我都看得到，无论是这个外边还是这个 B 站里边，都是这个流放老玩家在质疑为什么流放2会跟这个流放1这么不一样，看上去会更慢、更沉重、更那个剧情有更长，然后还有这么多的 BOSS 要挑战，他们想的只是爽刷而已。那这个问题我先留给大家来讨论一下，就是大家有什么看法？为什么这个流放2会跟流放1这么不一样啊？我们估计也会做一个很长很长的视频来解答这一切问题。那我就有一个小的提示，就是跟最近的新民特工惨败是有一定关系的。那我就大家就先在这个评论区里边讨论，我们就接下来会在持续的更新流放2相关的内容如果你想要这个在11月15号游玩流放2，或者说流放降临，那就多关注这个频道，我们会及时的更新所有的关于这个流放2的一切内容包括新闻更新，当然也有一些我个人的一些观点的输出这个就跟今天的这个内容有关系的我们今天来看这个 ZigD 采访2位设计师的一个后半部分。这一部分主要聊的是这个剧情相关的内容我就知道很多朋友会感兴趣这一个，但是其实我要聊的东西非常之多，而且这个视频本身你只是做一个简单的这个分析的话是不够，它里边有很多很多的信息含金量在里头，所以我们就先做一个小的反应，就是我把这个我感兴趣的一些东西剪辑了出来，然后我们来一起看一看，然后看完之后我会稍微的发一些这个简短的评论。那就开始。那我们先来看这一段，这一段也是我个人最喜欢的。
Like we're more willing to make a fundamental change and then explore the repercussions of that, and that's true both for Path of Exile 2's development, where we've done this kind of stuff and it's had a lot of repercussions and honestly slowed down the release schedule. Like WASD certainly delayed, like Path of Exile 2 for sure.
Like through XP.
Yes.
就是他们在说这个，他们做出来这些重大的改变，在流放2里边也是要承担非常多的风险的，包括流放1老玩家的质疑。然后也重点提到的一个就是为什么我们会从这个6月份延期到11月15号，就是因为他们在整个游戏里面添加 WASD 这个移动支持的话，并不是简单的加上这个功能就完事了。他们还调整了每一个技能、每一个 BOSS 每些怪物在这个 WASD 移动的情况下他们都会做出相应的这样的一个变化，以及让玩家更好的有这种操作的感觉所以这整一个的反攻是非常非常巨大的，这基本上是一个游戏底层的大的改变，所以他们就不得不去做这样的延期的这个操作。那行，我们再来看另一个。
I'm actually really happy with this change. So, there was always this thing in PoE1 where the question would always come up, why do I have to manually level my skills? And there were reasons for that, which obviously don't matter anymore. But effectively, the question we should have been asking was not so much like having to defend why that was needed or talking about whether or not we need auto leveling, all that sort of stuff. What we should have been asking is, well, why, if leveling a skill, if this is being asked, that would imply that leveling a skill was not fun. And if leveling a skill isn't fun, what should we be doing to make leveling a skill fun? And then I asked myself, I went right back to D2 and I was like, well, why was getting a skill point in D2 like a good experience and feeling like that maddening, oh yeah, and there's another skill point, I'm going to allocate it, why was that fun? And the answer was simply that there was choice. So we realized that like getting skill levels needs to be a thing that has choice involved in it. So what we decided to do was make it so that we already had the system of uncut skill gems where when you find you don't just find a random skill gem or even get offered them as quest rewards in the same way anymore. You have an uncut skill that lets you pick what skill you get. And so you've got a more traditional looking skill screen there. And we already had an issue of like, well, what do I do with extra uncut skill gems once I've already got all the skills that I need? And it turns out that it is actually making the change so that using an uncut skill gem in a given tier will level up an existing skill to that tier, to that level. Was a change that meant that suddenly you open the skill screen like, do I pick a new skill? Do I level up an old skill? Like it also means that getting more uncut skill gems, like you get more of those things. It feels more important. Like getting a skill to level 20 is now not something that can happen. Like you have to actually get high level. Other thing it also does, which I think was not something I expected before we did it, but then I realized after we did it that it was cool, was that having like you now have a situation where some skills are under-leveled and some skills can be over-leveled, and it's like you have to like think about, okay, like what skill do I want to do this, like what skill can I kind of let lag behind a little bit, and what skill and how long do I let it go before I need to catch this thing up, like due to the fact that certain combos and like skills that damn it, I forgot the name of the skill again, the one we respond to a stunned enemy.
Bone Shatter.
Bone Shatter, damn it. Because Bone Shatter does a lot of damage when you land it, you actually don't necessarily need to level that one up because you're already kind of overkilling stuff with it a lot of the time. So like, I can actually let that one languish. I actually want to be increasing, my double slam, and then now, once Bone Shatter is like 3 levels out of date, you're like, man, no, I need to level that up. So like, there's actually quite a lot of things, and so it actually made it much more interesting.
我还特别喜欢这一段啊，我们来看一看。
With this change, and to me, it was like it felt like we, out of nowhere and very easily, suddenly had a whole character progression system out of nowhere that we previously didn't have before somehow. And as soon as we did it, it was just a great change.
That was just like the game's now just 50% better.
Yeah.
Just out of nowhere. It was like, where did this even come from? We never even thought about changing, like how gems level up. And this is why it's been so important to question all of the fundamentals.
这段真的很有那种这个马斯克经常讲的这个第一性原理的这个说法，就是有些东西虽然看着像是这个大家都在遵循的惯例，但如果你去稍微的去质疑它一下的话，就会发现并不是真正的就是你应该去做的事情。你可以去稍微做一些别的工作，就能让它改善非常非常多。其实本质上你还是在刷怪去获得你的这个角色进度的成长，但是这个刷怪现在赋予了这个新的含义，并且你要你想换 BD 什么的也会简化非常非常多，因为你不用再去重新的去练一个20级宝石了，或者是这个跟别人去买这种满级的宝石来强行转了，你可以随时找到一颗这个高等级的未切割宝石，然后直接切换到你想要的技能。所以这一个改变就是从这个虽然看着不是一个非常非常大的这个具体工作量也不会特别大，但是就是能把整一个游戏的这个角色进程给它理顺了。所以这是我一个非常喜欢的点。
You could get extremely unlucky. All of a sudden, your gems are way under-leveled. So that's where a lot of all those special features are giving
like hard-coded drops,
hard-coded skills, uncut gems.
That rare monster hiding in a house somewhere that will always give you an uncut gem.
Exactly.
Those are there to ensure your baseline.
Exactly.
With this skills system as well.
Yeah. So
the other cool thing is it can skip. So like if you fight, so let's say it is a very under-leveled, and you got a tier 4 skill. And you want to, you're at the point where you're finding, say, tier 8 skills. If you use a tier 8 gem, you can level it from 4 straight to 8. So it doesn't have to go 4, then to 5, then to 6, then to 7 every
big
time.
Satisfying power spikes.
Yeah, the funny thing about that is that initially, when we were talking about this, there was the concern about it with the somber smithing stones or whatever from Elden Ring. Like that was like a whole thing where like sometimes you'd have annoying situations where you wouldn't have one of the ones in the progression up because of the fact you can skip all the way up. It actually means that it's fine. Like as soon as you find a high level one, you just go straight there.
I can't go to level 10 because I don't have a level 7.
Right, exactly. So
所以这段就是在说这个你宝石的升级也不用任何特殊的材料，不会说像这个老头环你卡在某个材料，然后你需要一级一级往上升啊，它不会有这种强制性的你必须要用低级材料去找低级材料这样的一个说法。你只要找到了高级的宝石，就能直接把一个你想要的宝石或者是这个你现在有的宝石变成这个它最高的等级。 接下来讲辅助宝石这一段我也特别喜欢。
Requirements for support gems have always been a tricky one. Like requirements in PoE1 have effectively not mattered very much for a very long time, and we kind of wanted them to matter. So the way that support gem requirements work now, not in the build you're playing, but the way they work now is that when you add a support gem, it adds +5 attributes of the color of that support gem globally to your character. If you want to put a green support gem on, you'll just need 5 more decks than what you have right now. You'll just need 5 more decks to do it.
也就是说，现在每5点属性就能够让你多装备1颗相对于这个属性的辅助宝石。比如说，你多了5点敏捷，就能够多装备一个绿色的辅助技能石。那你这个多了5点力量，就能多装一个红色的辅助技能石。所以它现在是这样的运作方式。
And so what that means is that you're always 1 passive point away from being able to equip whatever color of support.
所以它这个每一个升级都是这个路上的这个属性点会给你5点属性。你只要升级了就能够用这个全新的这个辅助宝石，如果你之前带不上的话，所以升级对你来说现在是一个很有意义的这个目标。
support gem that you want. But then at the same time, if you do want to have a strength character that's full of green gems, you are going to need a very significant amount of dex to be able to do that, because every time you but still it's always the case that you're always just 1 passive point away from doing it. And so that's actually been a game changer as well, as far as the feeling of being able to progress and the feeling of being able to use like the type of support gems you want to use.
所以如果你是一个力量型角色，但是你想用大量的这种敏捷宝石的话，那你也需要一个大量的对这个敏捷的投资。不过它也是你只要每一次升级都能够去多用一个绿色宝石，这也是让你的升级变得更加有意义，而不是说这个你必须要点到一个很后边的天赋才能够去调整你的这个把这些宝石一块装上去，这是一个很让人沮丧的过程，有可能你在这个途中就会放弃掉了。
while still kind of having that more global requirement of like, okay, if you actually just want to trick yourself out with green gems, you're going to have to be a dex character to be able to do that. I really like that change as well, and it's something that has really improved the feel of supports too.
Yeah, so you feel like you've hit on something there that actually makes requirements do something interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
And with the changes to stats, it sounds like a trade-off. It's much more something you have to consider now as well. Like
absolutely.
Losing 5 strength is 15 life.
Yep, absolutely.
Attributes on gear become a lot better when all of a sudden your 15 dexterity on your ring equals I can now use 3 more support gems. It makes it way more understandable for users who are like, I need to be able to equip this. Again, it's the same thing I was saying earlier about the life or difficulty. You want things to be 1 level away to get an incremental improvement.
Yeah,
exactly. And if it's like, I need an extra 40 dex to use this, and you're like, oh, sweet, 8 more levels to go, and then I can finally do this. It's so demoralizing, and you don't feel excited about that thing anymore. And by the time you get there, you're not even like, feeling so satisfied.
It sounds like that can make even small passives feel like they do something in that case as well when you're doing that.
We've really tried to make the attributes now like solve your problems. So if you don't have enough mana, it's not like I have to travel. I don't have to wait 8 levels of traveling through the tree to get to some mana. It's like the next level I can get more impactful mana. The next level I can get more impactful life, like using strength and intelligence as those 2 things. It's very important you can immediately solve your problem, as opposed to like, I'm going to solve it in 8 levels, because which is again the PoE 1 situation where you can certainly be like, I need more life, and it isn't always available for you to just upgrade your gear immediately. That takes farming and time and whatnot. And so if you can't just immediately get more life, or more defense or more whatever, it can feel very, very bad, and it can actually cause people to lose interest and stop playing like quite quickly, because they feel like there's nothing they can do.
And in addition to that, because now we have the ability to any attribute node can be strength, it means that anyone at any time can solve that kind of problem immediately. And the same is true of mana by getting intelligence, because we buffed that as well. I don't remember the number now, but effectively it's like these 2 problems are now solvable for you immediately. And then the same is true with accuracy. If you do, accuracy has been changed to be a thing.
这里我解释一下，就是命中现在是会根据你的这个角色对于敌人的距离，就是你在这个近距离命中会这个需求会更少，然后像是这个近战职业的话，你所需要的命中也是需要更少，然后在远程的话，离得越远，你需要的命中也更多，所以对攻职业的来说的话，命中可能是一个需要投资的这样的一个方向。
that matters much more for range. But if you do have an ability to hit monsters, you can immediately solve that problem in your next level.
现在这个敏捷会给大量的命中，所以如果你的命中比较缺的话，就可以考虑在这个属性点上选择敏捷来解决这些问题。
Without having to travel somewhere else, like find it on the tree, all that stuff. And like these 3 things are 3 fundamental things that you need to be able to solve about your character at any time. And if you don't solve them right now, then it sucks. So that's what the attributes are good for that, and the new system being able to pick the attributes is good for that. So just as a random,
Be more understandable for users who are.
然后是这个金币的部分，就是现在我们也知道流放1里边有金币了啊，也就是在这个把流放2里边的系统把它挪在流放1里边去试验一下到底什么样的一个状况。然后现在大家都对这个金币的这个还是非常满意的，这里就在着重说一些他们用金币去如何解决问题的这样的一个思路。
Gold thing in particular was pretty good because gold is a good way for solving problems. So to broaden the scope of this bit a little bit, some games have what you might call like smart drops and so on, where they like drop stuff for your character, but we've always been really against that because to us it feels really bad, the idea that like if I'm playing this character, that means I can't find stuff for other characters. And also there's this kind of concept of the near miss of like, oh, a bow drop, but I'm not a bow user, and it's like either I can use that on a different character, or I'm like, oh, I guess, oh well, another thing will happen next time. But gold actually serves as effectively like smart drops in a way, because it allows you to buy what you want from the shop. So if we increase the proportion, we can effectively tweak the degree to which you can pick what your drops are versus not by changing the relative ratio of gold to regular drops in the economy. And effectively, we increased the ratio a little bit more towards gold than what we had initially in the first LA demo we did. And that has meant now that you can solve your problems more easily by buying things from the shop and this fix the issues that you have.
That creates like a bit of a safety net, like a baseline for what you can expect players to have access to.
That was absolutely an issue we had where we're already a game that has a crazy degree between the bottom and the top as far as player skill goes, and all these other things, like just RNG even. So by having that gold safety net, it means that you can fix your own problems. It sort of brings up the minimum without increasing the maximum very much, which I think has been very good.
Yeah, even quest rewards, we added gold to a number of quest rewards as well. Certainly, it helps a lot.
And then the other thing we did as well, which is a lot more subtle and players may not even notice, is that we have a lot of hard-coded drops through the campaign that you can just sort of find as you go through. So there's just all these little side things, like specific chests that you'll find that will drop, oh, here's an extra place that drops an uncut support gem. There's a really subtle one in Red Veil where we make sure that we drop the chests. There's these chests of weapons that fall apart, and we make sure that at least one T2 white base of every weapon type drops in that area somewhere. So as you're just exploring that zone, you will definitely find something to replace your weapon with, and then you can usually use currency on it to improve it and so on as well. So we're just kind of making sure that that minimum is brought up. And there's even things like there's a white ring that drops in the graveyard. There's a special grave that you can open up, and there's I think there's some lore object there about I buried the wedding ring of my ancestor here. It's oh well, let's steal that. So that's the there's I don't know if when you were playing through you found the secret lever you can pull that opens a little tomb thing that opens up, and there's a bunch of gold down there, things like that.
I'm gonna try and find that.
Yeah. There's all sorts of just cool little things that we've added through the game to once again, if you're racing through, you're probably not going to get that stuff, but then also you're probably a better player. But if you're a player who is taking your time, you're going through, you're a first time player, you're going to find more of that stuff that kind of serves as almost a catch up mechanic to kind of give you the items you would need to be able to do a bit better. So the idea there is we give you a reward for exploration, and we expect newer players to be doing more of that exploration. If you having trouble with a boss, we want it to be the case that okay, well, if I just explore the area, I'm going to find some extra things that are going to help me to be able to progress with that.
So not only have you got these big flagship zone bosses,
you just happen to miss it the first time. I mean, unless you're being ultra thorough and full clearing every.
这一段也是我特别喜欢的地方，就是如果你是一个新玩家，你会更加倾向于探索整个地图，会舔图，会把每一只怪都杀完，所以就很容易能够找到他们这种为你埋藏好这种隐藏奖励，像这个很多金币，然后也还有很多这个 隐藏的这个装备基底啊，这些都是他们给的这种低保奖励。当然如果你是一个非常熟练的玩家，你的这个想法就是我要速通剧情直奔目的地，其实这些东西也是可以完全忽略的，甚至你有可能不会撞见他们，因为你不会把图填的那么细。所以这是我一个比较喜欢的地方，他们会给这个新人或者说这个不太熟练的剧情玩家会有一个这种低保的奖励。然后这个对于老玩家的话，这个也是可以完全无视的东西。然后的话就是之前说过的金币的这个作用啊，金币在这个给你去当做低保的这样的一个情况的话，其实会比这个智能掉落会好的太多了。智能掉落比如说暗黑3，比如说这个火炬，我特别讨厌火炬，就是当我用这个我想玩这个飞剑10开荒的话，然后我这个死活找不到弓，这是一个非常非常难受的情况。所以他们会觉得这个商店去卖这些对你的 BD 更有帮助的这些装备会更好，而不是说非得强制每一个人都只能掉落一样的东西。然后就是最后的一段啊，再说这个流放2剧情的可重玩性，因为你每个新赛季都要重玩一遍剧情嘛，所以他们反过来去想到底如何让剧情变得好玩，这只是一个很小的一个部分。
Campaign playthroughs here as well for different characters playing out differently, but even the same character playing out different.
Right. I mean, I don't know if you've. I might have talked to you about this before, but with regard to multiple campaign playthroughs, like the world map in PoE 2 is a random map, and it can have a different layout between different leagues. So like the overall layout of the whole act changes around, and that can actually change like what stuff you can find in it as well. So we really want the idea of like the each time you play that campaign, it does feel like there's something new and different going on with it, and that's something that that with the stuff we've got going on in PoE 2, we can now sort of do like much better than what we did in PoE 1.
其实这个话题应该在后边的视频会展开，就是剧情的可重玩性，我觉得其实是完全可以做很多改善的。就是我是经常玩很多 roguelike 的啊，这些 roguelike 里边其实有很多的这种重复性内容。比如说你玩哈迪斯的话，每一次都要这个从这个固定的每一张的这个地图关卡都是固定的啊。这个第一大关、第二大关这样子都是一些非常固定的东西，但是你每一次玩都有一个新的乐趣。我觉得完全可以从这些 roguelike 里面学习到很多这种在重复游玩里面也能够获取乐趣的这样的一个递进的这种感觉，而不是非得就是你直接去把玩家赶到一个地方然后练级。这个他们在之前的无限矿坑这种短赛季活动里面尝试过，效果也不是非常理想啊。其实玩下来的话会反而觉得很劳，就是因为你必须要在这个地方练级，你没有这个更加平滑的一个曲线去循序渐进。这个其实去矿坑打怪的话会很劳，而且像是一些有跳过剧情的游戏的话，玩起来体验也是你必须要去慢慢的去解决很多问题。比如说这个暗黑4它可以跳过剧情，但是你跳了剧情之后你还是得从这个1级开始，然后去做一些什么要塞啊这些的东西去帮助你去练级。这其实也是一个苦差事，本质上是因为这件事情是苦差事，而不是因为剧情本身剧情本身这个就应该是这么枯燥的。你完全可以把剧情搞得很好玩。这就是我个人的一个看法，不过后边这个我估计也会要展开一下聊吧，这也太短了，而且我需要找到一些东西来更加去补充我的一个说法。那目前就是先说到这个。那行了，这个视频很棒，然后我估计要用更多的时间来把它慢慢的分析啊，这里就我们就回头再来说，就大家多关注，我们就继续来更新流放2相关的所有内容。